Just like Donald Trump, John Kennedy relies on the media, politicians, and voters getting distracted by his one-liners and not listening to or pushing back on what he's actually saying, which is usually grade A BS.
The bad guys are using drones. Does anybody disagree with that? Okay. And the federal government has the authority to fight back, does it not? But nobody disagrees with that statement? Sure, Professor.
I would say within limits, yes. Within constitutional limits.
Okay. Do any of you disagree with giving state and local law enforcement the authority to fight back?
Again, within constitutional limits.
Okay. Tell me what your constitutional concerns are, Professor.
So I have three primary concerns. The first has to do with the Fourth Amendment and the conditions under which a warrant is required and a general warrant is forbidden by the Fourth Amendment. So in this particular case, it's important.
Professor, before you give me one of your lectures, are you saying that we should require state and local law enforcement to get a warrant before they fight back?
It depends on the condition. So in an exigent circumstance or something along the border.
I'm aware of the exceptions to the warrant requirement. But you, generally speaking, you want to require them to get a warrant.
Only for the search of a device or the seizure of property. There are also due process implications of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You started to mention another one of your objections.
First Amendment.
First Amendment. Okay. Any others?
Yeah, I also have a state rights, a 10th Amendment concern here, which is that states own the airspace adjacent to the land within their state that's not federally owned, and the current federal provisions don't recognize state sovereignty in that way.
So you want to give state and local law enforcement the authority to fight back, but you want to list a whole lot of conditions. Is that a fair assessment?
Not a whole lot, but some. There needs to be a nexus to the facility. It can't be any drone anywhere in America if you're concerned about a particular facility, but right now it's too broad. There have to be acknowledgments of First Amendment concerns. So for instance, limiting the covered facilities to the experience and logic test with which the courts use for right of public access, or prohibiting media bans across the board, or setting a time limit before and after special events so they don't extend extensively. This is what a number of state measures already do, and I'd like to see that at a federal level and apply to bring this within the constitutional limits.
Sounds like a lot of conditions to me.
No, not very many. As long as there's probable cause and the conditions are met, then absolutely you can.
Have you ever heard of a legislative practice called loving a bill to death?
Yes.
Okay. And that's when you take a bill and somebody says, I'm really for this bill. But then they add so many amendments and they screw it up so badly that the bill either becomes ineffective or doesn't pass. Is that a pretty accurate description?
Of the term?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're trying to love this to death, aren't you?
I disagree.
You're not really for giving law enforcement the power to fight back, are you?
I am in favor of giving law enforcement that power and respecting constitutional limits.
I don't believe you, Professor. Okay? You're not talking to Bambi's baby brother here. Okay, I've read some of your stuff. I think you'd be more intellectually honest if you just come out and say, I'm on the side of the bad guys here. I think we shouldn't give state and local law enforcement the authority to fight back. You're trying to make it as hard as possible, aren't you?
We'll have to disagree on that point, Senator.
Nah. You ever heard the expression, watch what they do, not what they say? I've watched what you've done. I know what you believe. Or you're on the FISA court?
I'm not on the court. No, I'm an amicus for the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court and the Court of Review.
Okay. Were you there when You guys issued all those bad warrants against Trump's people?
I can't discuss my work on the court,
Oh,
unfortunately.
it's top secret, right? I'd be on, you'd have to put me on the American people on double secret probation if you told them the truth, wouldn't you?
No. I can't discuss my matters that I've handled before the court. I can discuss the public ones where I've dealt with First Amendment concerns and the right to petition. I did an extensive history looking at that right
I'm done,
to petition.
Madam Chair.
If we do not extend the tax cuts, on December 31st of this year, there will be a $4.3 trillion increase on the American people. Hundreds of thousands of people will be thrown out of work. A lot of those will end up living in a refrigerator box behind Outback. We can avoid that by extending the tax cuts.
You served in Washington for years. You're going to be challenging the status quo. You're going to be called crazy. Many people also called Noah crazy. And then the rains came. And all the fact checkers died.
Kennedy ran for Senate as a Democrat back in 2004 and endorsed John Kerry over George Bush. Now look, I'm not saying that everyone who switches parties is a grifting opportunist, but it does make you wonder how firmly they ever believed what they were selling.
There's no question that most of the money went to our wealthiest Americans. If you make $375,000 a year, you got a $30,000 a year tax cut. If you make between $29,000 a year and $49,000 a year, you got $289. And Arthur, we both know where they got the money. They took $600 billion out of the Social Security Trust Fund to fund those tax cuts. And I think the biggest disagreement between David and I, and we just disagree on this issue. Earlier this year in a debate, we were asked, what's the backbone of the American economy? David's answer was, the backbone of the American economy is the millionaire who creates the jobs. I think the backbone of the American economy is the working man and working woman who gets up every day, goes to work, pays their taxes, obeys the law. They're never going to be rich in their pocketbook, but they're rich in their values, and those are the people I want to give tax cuts to.
I mean, the life expectancy of the average American right now is about 77 years old. For people who are in their 20s, their life expectancy will probably be 85 to 90. Does it really make sense to allow someone who's in their 20s today to retire at 62?
Kennedy has absolutely nailed that little foghorn leghorn routine, so much so that he's now a regular on Fox News and frequently goes viral for the stupid things that he says. What makes him genuinely dangerous is that it is actually a routine. He's not dumb, at least not that dumb, he just pretends to be, on TV as a brand. Behind the folksy act is a career politician with some serious credentials. He went to Vanderbilt for undergrad, then studied at the University of Virginia for law school, and even got a first-class master's from Oxford. With Kennedy, the performance feels like the point.